This video is on Instructional Task 2 for Early Childhood Education, and it's on video recording tips. Here's an overview of what you're going to do for Task 2. You're going to get permission from the parents to video record. Then you're going to implement your 3 lessons and video record them. And you're going to choose 2 video clips, one of whole group and one of small group. So you're not going to submit a video of everything that you've recorded. You're just going to pick 2 small video clips, and then you're going to write the instructional reflection paper. So before you begin video recording for real, practice using your camera. Your cooperating teacher or your teacher assistant or your instructional aide can record for you so they can hold the camera and kind of follow you around, or you can set up the camera in one spot on a tripod or against a bookshelf or something like that. Most candidates use their phone or tablet. You don't need any special kind of camera, just whatever on your phone or tablet is fine. Now, if you have students that you couldn't get permission from, seat them so that they don't appear on the video recording. Just put them kind of on the side and set up your camera so that they're not captured on film. If they happen to walk in front by mistake, you can always blur their faces, but it's better if they don't show up at all. You want to get your students used to being recorded, so record a couple of lessons to check that everything is working and just to get them used to it. And make sure, look at your videos and make sure that you can see and hear the students, especially right now with masks. It's sometimes difficult to hear the students, so try to get the camera as close to them as you can. And again, try to enunciate yourself as much as you can. If a student says something that's kind of hard to understand, you can repeat it on the video so that it's easier to tell what they just said. Record all 3 of your lessons. You won't use all of that recording, but it just gives you a better chance at picking what part of the lessons you want to submit to me. And you want to make sure that you record both whole group and small group. Keep the camera running for the whole lesson. Don't turn it off and on, except when you switch to small group. Like you could do whole group in the morning, let's say, and small group in the afternoon. That would be fine. But keep the camera running during that time period. Now, what if you go virtual and remote learning? Don't worry, you can practice recording your screen. You can use Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic. You can record with Zoom or Meet, or you can put your phone behind you and record the screen. The students' cameras, if the students are at home, their cameras may be off. It's a little bit harder to show engagement, but it's not impossible. We've done it for many semesters now. And again, you want to practice. So if you go remote, just practice, record a couple of lessons before you do the lessons that you're going to submit. Now, what if you're hybrid? So you have some of your students at home instead of some of your students in person. You need to have a minimum of 4 students on the recording. So if you have enough students in person, you can just record the ones in person. Or you could just record the ones that are remote, especially for the small group. If you're capturing both, you'll want to position the camera so that you and the students are seen, and you'll only capture the voices of the remote students. It's not perfect, but they understand. We've been doing this for a while now. And again, record a couple of lessons before you actually do the ones that you're going to submit. You need to choose 2 focus students. You're going to actually use those in task 3, but you need to choose them right now. One must have specific learning needs. Again, that doesn't mean an IEP. It can be an IEP or a 504, but it could also just be a child who's developmentally immature or a gifted or talented learner. It could be an English language learner, just one child that has some unusual learning needs. You're going to video record their work during independent practice in a small group. So make sure that these 2 focus students are in the small group video that you record. You don't have to have a small group video of your whole class, but you have to have a small group video that includes those 2 focus students. It could be only those 2 focus students, but it will have to have at least those 2 focus students. So you could do that during guided reading or small group time and make sure you're including those 2 kids. Now, here's some tips for implementing good lessons. You might want to script out your questions, put them on little sticky notes Script out possible feedback. You will be judged on how well you give feedback to students. So make sure that you're giving glows and grows, positive feedback and ways that they could improve. You might want to script out your interdisciplinary connections. How are you making connections between reading and writing and science or art or social studies? And you might want to script out how you will connect to their prior learning or their personal, cultural, and community assets. Remember yesterday when we looked at the setting? Well, now we're going to look at who lives in that setting. So you might want to, again, just script that out, put it on little sticky notes so that you remember that these are things you're going to say during your lessons. And script out how you'll work with your two focus students. Just be aware before you start a video recording of who you're going to work with and how you're going to do that. So here's what you're going to be evaluated on. How well do you show respect, rapport, and a positive environment? So that's about classroom management. How well do you show active and multimodal learning? So they want to see hands-on learning. This is early childhood, so they want it to be developmentally appropriate. How well do you elicit and then build on children's responses? So when you get an answer from the children, make sure you're building on that. Can you tell me more? What else do you think? Those kinds of extensions. Give good feedback frequently because you need to get that on your video recording because, again, you're going to be judged on that. And your ability to make connections to their prior learning and their interests, to make those interdisciplinary connections. Get the children using the vocabulary words. Make sure they're using it either orally or in writing, but you want them to actually say the words if at all possible. And just make sure you're recording your focus students during small group time. What's going to happen next is that you're going to choose 2 small video clips to submit. One clip will be from whole group and one clip will be from small group. The 2 clips together can't be more than 15 minutes. So one clip will be maybe 8 minutes and one clip will be maybe 7 minutes, or it could be 4 minutes and 9 minutes. It can't be less than 3 minutes. So you're not going to submit all of your lessons. You're going to record all of them again, just so that you have more choice for what clips you want to pick, so that you pick 15 minutes of your best teaching out of these 3 lessons. You're not going to edit the videos. You only cut the beginning and the end to make them the right length, but you can't cut in the middle of any of the videos. So let me go over that in a little bit more depth. Think of your video as a ribbon. You're allowed to cut the 2 pieces of that ribbon. You can't cut 3 or 4 pieces and then stick them back together to make 7 minutes. It has to be one continuous shot, no editing for each of those videos. And remember that you can blur the faces of any child that you don't have permission to film, or the children can have their cameras off if you're in a remote teaching situation. You want to remove or blur your name or use pseudonyms or general references for your state, school, district, and cooperating teacher. Mask or remove all but the first names on any materials that show up in the video. And during your video recording, only use the children's first names, don't use their last names. And make sure that you don't share your video on any publicly accessible platforms or websites. So, in summary, you are going to video record whole group learning, small group with your 2 focused students learning, and you're going to keep that camera going. You're not going to turn it on, off and on during filming, only when you switch from whole group to small group. So good luck. I'm sure you're going to do a great job with this.